Spending more than $1 million on pods to house Nashville's homeless, only to keep them in storage since 2021. Why they could finally be used.
What would you say to those who feel this raises concerns about transparency and accountability?
I am always transparent.
Fairview residents crying foul, the move by the mayor raising concerns. And are they waving the white flag? The Titans trade that has some fans calling it a season. Fox 17 News at 9 starts now.
Middle Tennessee's only primetime news. This is Fox 17 News at 9, your Code Red station.
We begin tonight with breaking news in Spring Hill, where police tell us someone opened fire inside the Target store on Crossings Boulevard. Officers say this all started as a fight between two women. They say the accused shooter is in custody. Police at the moment are asking everybody to steer clear of that area. Fox 17 News has a crew on the way to Spring Hill, and we will bring you updates both on air and online as we learn more.
We finally get to move forward with creating a plan.
In the high cost of homelessness, pods to house people living on the streets in Nashville are one step closer to finally being pressed into service. Good evening, everybody. I'm Scott Couch. Now, this development comes some 3 years after Fox 17 News first broke the story that Metro had purchased these pods but wasn't using them, instead having them in storage. Fox 17 News' Karen Aguilar is live now at the Metro Courthouse to explain the next steps as she presses city leaders on how these pods will eventually be used.
Local leaders say this is a good thing, and they look forward to being able to use the pods to help those experiencing homelessness.
Trash, drugs, and even fires, all happening in homeless camps by Metro greenways, under bridges, and in parks. Braden Johnson lives near one of those encampments in Germantown.
It does kind of bother me that there is trash and everything. You know, if we could help with that, that would be great.
Help could be on the way in the form of pods to house the homeless temporarily. Fox 17 News discovered in 2021 there were 108 pods for those experiencing homelessness, costing more than $1.2 million in federal funds. Those pods continuing to sit unused. Metro says they failed to meet code standards, but now things are turning a corner. The State Fire Marshal's office issuing this letter with code requirements Metro needs to meet so the pods can be used. The mayor's office tells us they are in the process of reviewing the letter. One of the requirements is the pods need to have a thermal barrier preventing fires, according to Will Dodd, the spokesperson for the Department of Codes and Building Safety with Metro.
Currently, Metro Codes is researching what products are out there that would best fit to be used to provide that thermal barrier so that we can be compliant and Metro can use the pallet shelters as they intend.
The second would be making sure the pods are separated by 12 feet, meeting fire and building code standards to get approved. Councilmember Aaron Evans passing a resolution last year to try to find a solution to use them. And now, here we are.
It's a relief. I know we've got a lot of work still ahead of us, but at the same time, we at least have really jumped over a huge hurdle.
Where will the pods be placed? And not only that, what will it take to get electricity and heat hooked to them? These are some of the questions we have, but we still don't have answers to. Reporting live in downtown, Karen Aguilar, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Continuing coverage on those homeless pods, Fox 17 News, of course, has been tracking this issue for more than 3 years now. Fox 17 News showed you how Metro bought the homeless pods at the time to act as emergency shelters during the pandemic. They were never needed, so they weren't used. Then in 2023, Metro leaders thought they were closer to passing the final hurdle, only to see more pushback. Council members at the time said the snag was a back and forth with the state on whether these pods met codes. You can see our previous report on the pod's progression on the Fox Nashville YouTube channel, and while you're there, please subscribe.
At what point do you say you're not eligible for a program?
In Operation Crime and Justice, after a spike in teen arrests in Metro, Fox 17 News began investigating the success of rehabilitation programs at juvenile court. And essentially, are they doing what they're supposed to? Fox 17 News' Kylie Walker speaks with critics as well as juvenile court insiders.
From 2021 to 2023, numbers show that more youth are going into these programs, but at the same time, more of them are also being prosecuted, leading some to wonder how truly beneficial are these programs. Last year, juvenile courts prosecuted more than 1,700 teens and children. This is up nearly 23% from the previous year. In 2021, more than 4,000 adolescents were diverted to various programs, increasing to about 5,400 in 2023.
If that number is rising, what you're doing is not working.
Today, we looked at the various programs that youth offenders can connect to from home. A DP2 program involves no court proceedings. Informal Adjustment, the most populated program, offers light case management for low-level offenses, whereas pretrial judicial diversion provides low supervision after a case is filed, and compliance leads to expungement.
They are going home. They're going back to the very environment that created the chaos in their life.
Not surprised by the trend, Verna Wyatt with Tennessee Voices for Victims works with incarcerated people, hearing their stories weekly.
I'm still doing the same things that I was doing as a juvenile. That was the wake-up call. I can't call Dad now to come get me. I can't call Mom or Grandpa to come get me because this time I've killed somebody.
These concerns we took to Juvenile Court Administrator Jennifer Wade.
What is the evidence that these programs are working?
Research shows that for some youth, particularly those that are very low-risk offenders, that better outcomes happen when they don't touch the court system.
Wade says in most diversion cases, they're talking about low-risk offenders.
If a child is medium or high risk, there's a much stronger likelihood that they're going to be involved in an actual court process.
Despite common misconception, Wade says repeat offenders will not be eligible for a program. Wade also tells me when the youth goes into these programs, their recidivism rates are under 10%. Recidivism is when folks become repeat offenders. For now, reporting in Nashville, Kylie Walker, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Continuing coverage now, as we're not the only ones who wanted answers after seeing that increase in juvenile arrests and more minors being diverted to those programs. Metro Councilwoman Courtney Johnson got on the phone after seeing the numbers too to better understand what's happening. She says the numbers are solid. The juvenile arrests are up 6% year over year, but Johnston is impressed, she says, with what she is learning about these diversion programs.
It's not to just let them off the hook, but to give them the opportunity to get their lives on track, get back on the straight and narrow without having a criminal offense on their in their history that would obviously follow them and hinder them in a lot of ways as they go through their lives.
Now, that said, Councilwoman Johnston is still investigating. She tells us she wants more information from Metro Police about the offenses these local teens are being charged with. We'll keep you posted. Tonight in Crisis in the Classroom, a 15-year-old girl at James Lawson High School in Bellevue is facing charges for making a threat of mass violence. Metro Police say she threatened to shoot up the school in a social media post. Officers arrested the teen at her home today after they say she failed to show up for class. Crisis in the Classroom is our ongoing commitment to you to expose problems in our schools and to look for solutions. If you have a story you think we should be covering, send an email to news@fox17.com or phone our tip line 615-266-4149. Tonight, Metro Police issue an endangered child alert for a couple of infants. Take a good look here. They are pictures of Rico and Elijah Delk, a year old and 3 months old. The boys are believed to be with their non-custodial mother, Sarah Myers. They're possibly traveling in a 1997 cream Lincoln Town car. Tennessee license plate BDL229. If you have seen them or know anything about where they might be, call police or the TBI. Should the mayor of Fairview be on the campaign team for one of the candidates running for the city's Board of Commissioners? Fox 17 News presses the mayor for an answer directly. And more than just the White House up for grabs, the races that could very well shift the balance of power in Congress. Tonight, the mayor of Fairview, who engaged in a political campaign for a board commissioner, is no longer working for him, but not before some members of the community contacted Fox 17 News complaining about it. They say she crossed ethical lines, but did she? Fox 17 News' Amanda Chen sits down with the mayor of Fairview, and Amanda, as we understand it, she was on the commission candidate's political team, if you would, until you called asking about it.
That's right. On October 11th, I sent an email to the city of Fairview questioning Mayor Lisa Anderson's role as a campaign treasurer for board commissioner candidate Stuart Johnson. The mayor confirmed to me she removed herself as the campaign treasurer on that same day, about 2 hours after I reached out to the city of Fairview questioning her position. She did sit down to talk with me as I worked to find out whether she breached ethics or not. Lisa Anderson, Fairview's mayor for the last 2 years.
I've lived here over 30 years. I love this community, and I just saw a need for, a mayor that would be available.
Fox 17 News confirmed Mayor Lisa Anderson was listed as a campaign treasurer for Stuart Johnson. Johnson is running to be on the Board of Commissioners, which the mayor oversees. As mayor, do you believe that's an ethical approach that you can take?
Do you have any documentation to substantiate that I can't do that?
I do. According to the Fairview Charter, neither the city manager, recorder, city judge, chief of police, nor any person in the employ of the city under any of such officers shall take any active part in or contribute any money toward the nomination or election of any candidate for election to the Board of Commissioners.
I find that not listing me. I'm an elected official. I'm not a city employee.
But you do get paid and you fill out a W-2, correct?
Probably do, but I'm not a city employee. I'm an elected official.
If you get paid and fill out a W-2, I think people would consider you an employee, no?
No, I'm not an employee. Our board is over the city manager, who's over the employees.
We at Fox 17 checked. First with the Fairview city attorney. He does not consider Anderson a city employee. Fox 17 News then contacted the Internal Revenue Service. Internal Revenue Code 3401C indicates that an officer, employee, or elected official of government is an employee for income tax withholding purposes. So, did Anderson cross a line? Dr. Davia Downey, a political scientist at the University of Memphis, read the Fairview Charter. She agrees it does not include the mayor. But Downey believes there can be valid ethical concerns with an elected official signing on as a campaign treasurer while publicly endorsing that candidate.
There is something that binds people who are running for office, who currently serve in office, saying something in support of another person's campaign. And then also when you add in the additional aspect of the fact that they're serving as treasurer, I think ethically there may be some question about that.
We dug further. Dr. Fred Gordon has more than 20 years of experience as a political scientist specializing in ethics at East Tennessee State University.
It would raise some eyebrows. I think at some level there's concern, because one of the things you want to do is instill within the public confidence that, everything is above board and that there's 100% transparency and there's no preferential treatment.
What would you say to those who feel this raises concerns about transparency and accountability?
I am always transparent. I'm here. And that right there is being transparent.
The mayor says she's here to serve her community, and she says voters know it. But were ethical lines legally crossed? It seems, according to the charter, they were not. However, the mayor removing herself from the commissioner candidate campaign suggests a decision on her part to take a step back. Reporting in the studio, I'm Amanda Chen, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Now, the warm day out there, we reached 86 degrees, 1 degree shy from the record high for this afternoon. A nice night, though, shaping up for us. And in fact, there is a cold front coming through tonight. But it will be dry once again. What we will feel are slightly cooler conditions as we head into the day on Thursday, only reaching the mid 70s and overnight lows tonight in those low 50s. We're right back up into the 80s, though, by Friday. Record highs look likely for us, and all the while we continue to wonder, where is the rain? 24 days today where we have had no rain in the rain gauge at BNA. It is now the 13th longest consecutive stretch of dry days. Tomorrow we're going to crack the top 10 with another dry day expected. I do see a very small chance for showers heading into Friday with another cold front coming through. That'll be Friday night into early Saturday morning. Not going to be a great rain and really isn't going to do much as far as putting a lot of moisture back into those soils, but case in point, it'd give us a little bit of rain in the rain gauge and would break our streak of dry days. So we'll take a look here and see what we are looking at as we head into Thursday night. Clear conditions for us. Front will arrive by Friday afternoon, may bring us a couple of clouds early on. Showers possible as we head through the overnight hours into early Saturday. Even if we were to pick up a few showers during Friday night football, I do think it'd be pretty light at best. But the model does bring in a little bit of rain and then it clears and we look to be dry for the next several days beyond that. So Thursday, temperature right around 62 degrees, right around 74 by 2 o'clock, and looking at those mid 70s for the afternoon with mainly sunny skies. The story for tomorrow. Area wide here, we're looking at temperatures in those mid 70s, 74 in Dickson. Nashville should read 74. Murfreesboro and Lebanon right around 74 as well, with lower 70s out toward the Cumberland Plateau. Coming up, we'll talk more about the potential for a stray shower or two. Got a lot of sports action going on this weekend as well. And a little later on, a look at Halloween is looking for next week. It's in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast.
The balance of power in the Senate is on the ballot. I'm Atrell Nashar with the state of some critical races coming up.
In politics right now, this is a live look at the U.S. Capitol, where the balance of power in Congress is very much on the line in the November election. Fox 17 News' Atra El-Nashar tonight taking a closer look at some of the key Senate seats.
Emergency supplemental appropriation.
There's not much a president can get done without the Senate. It's why Senate candidates in tight races, like in Wisconsin, are getting almost as much hype as the presidential candidates.
They're going to need a Senate full of public servants like Tammy Baldwin.
Come on, Eric. We got to get this guy elected.
Incumbent Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin fighting to keep her seat from Republican challenger Eric Hovde. Recent polls show Baldwin's lead is narrowing. Next door in Michigan, Democratic Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin and former Republican Congressman Mike Rogers competing for the seat of retiring Democratic Senator Debbie Stabenow. Like in much of the country, the economy and winning over union voters are central focuses of the campaign.
This factory is being upgraded and will save 700 mid-Michigan auto jobs. But Mike Rogers says, I think it's a bad investment.
Wages keep falling, prices keep rising, and the liberals are making it worse.
For incumbent Democratic senators from more conservative states, Sherrod Brown in Ohio and Jon Tester in Montana, it's about convincing Republican voters to cross party lines.
Sherrod Brown is fighting back. He wrote a bill that Donald Trump signed to crack down on drugs at the border.
We got Democrats and Republicans in Montana, but they're all libertarians. They all love freedom. None of them want the government telling them how to live their lives.
Here's what the balance of power in the Senate looks like right now. So Republicans would only need a net gain of 2 seats to take the majority. But if former President Trump wins, they'd only need 1 because his vice president would be the tie-breaking vote. Republicans are essentially guaranteed to pick up a seat in West Virginia with the retirement of Senator Joe Manchin, a former Democrat. Where they could lose a seat is Texas. A new poll by Emerson College in the Hills shows incumbent Republican Senator Ted Cruz in a statistical dead heat with his Democratic challenger, Congressman Colin Allred. This and other competitive races may come down to just a handful of votes. In Washington, I'm Atrell Nashar reporting.
Tax brackets are seeing a big shift in 2025. I'm Jeff Harris in Washington. Coming up, why the IRS decided to make changes and who could be pocketing some cash.
Well, we're coming up on the final days of Cheekwood Harvest, so coming up, we'll show you what you can expect for the final weekend. Also, talk about how many pumpkins they have out here.
We continue to follow breaking news tonight in Spring Hill, where police are now searching for a shooter at the Target store on Crossings Boulevard. Here's a live look at the scene. Police are inside right now, obviously have a big presence outside as well. This started as a fight, they tell us, between a couple of women. So far, officers have not found anyone who was actually shot. Police are asking everyone, because of the search underway, to steer clear this area in Spring Hill. Right now, breaking news in a crash that killed a 10-year-old girl riding a scooter with her mother in South Nashville. Metro Police just arrested the nephew of the man accused of killing Emily Sanchez Ramirez. Orlin Ortega Zuniga is accused of helping his uncle cross the U.S. border after the crash. Police believe that Walter Zuniga is now on his way back to Honduras. The victim's mother, Laura Ramirez Gonzalez, is still in the hospital tonight. In the economy now, understanding the impact of your tax bracket. Fox 17 News' Jeff Harris tonight shows us how the Internal Revenue Service could keep you from being pushed into a higher bracket.
One of, if not the biggest change coming next year is what's happening to the annual income threshold, which saw its smallest jump in several years. The IRS changes the threshold every year based on inflation, and since inflation has cooled, so has the adjustment. Usha Ratcliffe, a finance expert at Emory University, tells us the biggest difference in 2025 compared to previous years is that the income tax brackets have been adjusted by 2.8%.
Which is significantly less than prior years.
So what does this mean for someone who's going to pay taxes in 2025 compared to 2024? Ratcliffe says, for example, if you're a single person making $120,000 a year and taking a standard deduction, you will save some money.
Because of the changes in these tax brackets, you would save in your tax bill approximately $300.
And she says the same thing will carry over to married couples filing together as well.
So everybody will see, a little bit of savings in their taxes.
But Caroline Bruckner, a tax expert at American University, tells us these tax bracket adjustments aren't the only things changing in 2025. Different provisions in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act are also set to expire at the end of next year.
The changes on the individual tax side, they expire in 2025.
Which is why she believes while it's important to keep tabs on the tax bracket adjustments, next year there could be even more changes.
These are hugely important budgetary debates, and they will impact American families' kitchen table discussions.
Now, along with the tax bracket adjustments, the IRS also boosted figures for other provisions like long-term capital gains, estate and gift tax exemptions, and eligibility for the Earned Income Tax Credit. I'm Jeff Harris reporting from Washington.
Election news now. Turnout has been really good since early voting started across the state last week. Some voters, however, have reported some troubles with the touch screen machines. Fox 17 News' Madeline Nolan tonight to explain the issue they're having and shows us how it is being managed here in Nashville.
Voters in Davidson, Shelby, as well as Williamson counties have all reported problems when it comes to voting, saying that their vote isn't registering and, in fact, jumping to a different candidate. Now, Davidson County Commissioner Jeff Roberts says that this problem is new but doesn't affect the integrity of machines. As an attempt to be more environmentally friendly, many counties are no longer offering stir sticks as a way to tap the screen following COVID. But as a result, Roberts says that voters are using their fingers to try and press the small box in the upper left-hand corner of the candidate's name, which may cause the machine to select the candidate above.
So use the stir stick or hit right in the middle of that candidate's name and your choice will be fine.
Davidson County election officials started once again handing out the stir sticks after learning of this touchscreen problem. They also posted signs on every voting machine instructing voters to tap the name to make a selection. Now, even with the high voter turnout that we've seen here in early voting, the Director of Communications for the Secretary of State says that there have been no other reported problems. In Nashville, I'm Madeline Nolan, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Waking up this morning, really didn't feel too bad out there. We were in the mid-50s. It'll be a little cooler as we head into the morning hours tomorrow with temperatures only around 50 degrees. And sunset just before, or just I should say just after 7 o'clock this evening. But it's the sunrise or sunset that I want to talk about for tonight. So actually the sunrise this morning was just before 7. Sunset tonight. Get my sunrise sunsets mixed up. was at 6 p.m. Tonight's sunset at 6 o'clock was the last time that we are going to see the sunset at 6 or after until next March of 2025. So from here on out, we'll be looking at those sunsets to be before 6 p.m. and eventually getting into that 4:30 p.m. hour as we inch closer to the beginning of winter. As far as what we can expect moving forward here, we're going to be looking at, again, temperatures to be quite warm by Friday, so a little cool down for tomorrow. But as we head into Friday, it is likely that we are looking at a new record high of 86 degrees. The record, 84, set back in 1973. A warm weekend ahead for the final weekend at Cheekwood. Meteorologist Brett Luna took a trip out there this afternoon, and here's what he found.
Well, we're out here at Cheekwood for the Cheekwood Harvest. This started in mid-September, but it is about to come to an end. The final day that you can come is Sunday. There's a lot going on. This is just bursting with fall. And I got Emily Luxon right here with Cheekwood to tell us a little bit more about it. So, Emily, what all do we have going on here, and what are we standing behind right now? I know this is one of the bigger attractions.
You know, we've had such a successful fall season here at Cheekwood. We are in the middle of our pumpkin village right now, which has been one of our prime photo spots over the last few weeks. 3 pumpkin houses, 75,000 pumpkins on the property throughout the harvest festivities, 5,000 mums, so many great spots to bring your family and come and see Cheekwood. But like you said, final weekend, can you believe it's almost over? This went really fast, but we're going out with a bang. We've got lots of plans this weekend. Again, come and see the pumpkins. We've got our big Halloween pooch party this weekend, so we're encouraging all the pet parents to bring their dogs out in costume. We're going to be having costume contests from 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. And then food trucks, dog vendors. It's going to be a great time.
Perfect. And I see a lot of pumpkins on the grounds too, so the kids or anybody can come here and pick one and take one of those home with them?
Absolutely. The pumpkins are for sale. That helps support Cheekwood's mission, and you can take it home. If you're still looking for a pumpkin to carve, we got you covered.
Awesome. And when I was walking in, I saw a lot of scarecrows down there. What's all that about?
Yeah, the Scarecrow Trail, right when you walk in. We do that every year. A lot of schools, community groups, nonprofits design those scarecrows. And this year the theme was Personify a Color, which was really fun. So lots of creative versions of that are on display, and that's another area you can walk through and get some great photos.
Perfect. Well, hey, if you want to come out, you heard it right here. Sunday is going to be the last day that you can come. We're going to have a link to the website where you can order those tickets. Better idea to just go ahead and get those tickets before you get here. But reporting from Cheekwood, Brett Luna, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Some good advice there. Still to come, DeAndre Hopkins' time in a Titans uniform is over. What prompted the team to trade number 10, their star wide receiver? Plus, safety concerns tonight as fewer young athletes are deciding to play football, and the research that's underway to protect those who are still getting it done. Big news today as the Titans decide to trade away star wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins to the Kansas City Chiefs. Fox 17 Sports Director Jill Jelnick has been at the team facility much of the day and has more on why now, along with reaction from Hopkins' teammates.
The Tennessee Titans stealing all the headlines on Wednesday as they trade away their star wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins to the Kansas City Chiefs. In exchange for Hopkins, the Titans will receive a conditional 5th-round pick, but more importantly, the team loses one of its star players just a third of the way through the NFL season. Head coach Brian Callahan was asked how much does this move have to do with the fact that the team is 1-5 and last place in the AFC South. He said the NFL is a business, and because of the spot that they're in, he felt the move was necessary. But he did emphasize that this move does not contradict their desire to win. First and foremost, that is his goal as the head coach of the Titans, and his next goal is to get them ready for their upcoming game against the Lions on Sunday.
There's two things that always happen in the NFL. I've always believed, and you're always building, you're always trying to win the day and win right now, and there's always a portion of your football operation that looks towards what's next and what's to come. And you try to balance those things as best you can. At the end of the day, coaches coach, players play, and that's our job. My job is to coach the football team and get ready to play the Detroit Lions. The players' job is to do everything they can to get ready to go play that game and try to go win it.
I mean, D-Hop was a great teammate for us. You know, obviously a really good player too. So there's shoes to fill there. Guys need to step up. That's how the league goes. So it's tough. You know, I feel like over the last couple of years it was fun to get to know him. Tough to hear that news, but been in the league now for going on 5 years. I kind of know it's just part of the business, unfortunately.
I mean, yeah, we all knew what D-Hop brought to the team. But at the end of the day, like I said, you know how this thing go. You know, players come and go. We're going to miss him for sure, for his presence and what he brought to the team. But, you know, we won in 5. I think the focus need to be on the guys in the locker room. How can we be a better leaders, especially throughout the week? Just focus on the small details and focus on everyone just being disciplined.
The trade with DeAndre Hopkins wasn't the only move that the Titans made on Wednesday. The team also trading their linebacker Ernest Jones to the Seattle Seahawks in return for a 4th-round pick, as well as other assets. The team will now get ready and prepare for the Detroit Lions. They will travel to Detroit on Saturday. Kickoff is 12 o'clock from Ford Field, and you can watch that game right here on Fox 17. Jill Jelnick, Fox 17 Sports, your Code Red station.
Jill, thank you. Of course, the Titans going to have to move on without Hopkins. The team in Detroit this weekend taking on the Red Hot Lions. That game is a 12 o'clock kickoff from Ford Field on Sunday, and you can watch it right here on Fox 17. Now, that Hopkins trade, the subject of our question of the day on X. We asked our viewers whether you agree with the Titans trading DeAndre Hopkins away for at best a 4th-round draft pick. 250 people taking the time to weigh in. And perhaps not surprisingly, 55.6% say yes, I agree with what they did, understanding where we are. 44% said no. Polls live right now if you'd like to cast your vote. Scan the QR code there on the right-hand side of the screen, and we will update these results coming up tonight on Fox 17 News at 10.
Coming up, we'll have a look at the Vanderbilt football forecast and a look ahead to Halloween, how it's looking next week.
Also, we had safety upgrades, the changes that could give football players a little more protection against brain injuries. In Health News tonight, researchers are studying ways to make football helmets safer, trying to protect more players from brain injuries. Reporter Matt Roy tonight taking a look at safety upgrades that are in the works.
Football isn't a contact sport. It's a collision sport, and ever since the discovery of chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, nearly 20 years ago, the focus on head injuries has boomed, which is why youth participation in the sport has fallen off considerably. According to recent research, participation dropped to its lowest point in the 2021-22 school year, where it saw a 12% decrease from its peak in the late aughts.
Young brain is more susceptible to injury.
That's why UTSA mechanical engineering professor Dr. Morteza Seti and his team are working to develop new padding for helmets to help the issue.
We focus on football helmet, and specifically we are working on a padding of the helmet and how we can mitigate impact to reduce brain injury in general and concussion.
A concussion happens when trauma to the head causes your brain to bounce around or twist in the skull, stretching the brain cells.
You have a low velocity impact, you have high velocity impact, and your structure should work at both velocities.
Dr. Sadie and his team are using computer simulations, high impact tests, and drop tests to figure out which types of padding work best. What they discovered is that the padding needs to change in firmness depending on the velocity of the impact. Softer for lower velocities and stiffer for higher velocity.
That's the physics of the problem, and we are trying to tune it. It's going in the right direction. Still, we are looking at a few years more research and development.
Dr. Sadie and his team are also partnering with the Southwest Research Institute on a separate but similar project that would use this new technology in military helmets as well. That way, during a ballistic impact from shrapnel or a bullet, the padding will absorb the object's kinetic energy and prevent injury to the skull or brain in combat. The technology is still a few years away from completion. Matt Roy, Fox SA.
Looking ahead now, due to the Fox coverage of the World Series and college football on Friday, you're going to have to watch Fox 17 News at 9 on our sister station, CW Nashville. Now, you can also, if you want to stay up really late, see a rebroadcast of that newscast on Fox 17 after the football game. All right, Katie, if we were playing either football or baseball in Nashville tonight, it'd be perfect condition for a contest.
It's been that way for a while now.
Most of the month, really.
Yeah, and it looks like we're going to get another one of those nights for Friday night football. with a little bit of cloud cover. There is a small shower chance in the forecast, but I don't think it'll be enough to really ruin many of those games. Things this evening looking fairly quiet. And speaking of football, let's take a look at the Vanderbilt forecast. Big game this weekend. Texas in town taking on Vandy. And temperatures are looking pretty good at kickoff right around 3 o'clock, just after 3 o'clock. Temperature should be in the low 70s, 69 by 5, and mainly sunny skies turns into a clear night with temperatures in those low 60s. So given the time of year, it's not a bad forecast, and it's looking good. Now we look ahead to Halloween going into next week, 8 days and counting for Halloween. Next Thursday we're looking at. And right now, mid-70s with a partly cloudy sky looks to be the story. Other than Friday, our dry pattern looks to continue. So as of right now, I don't see any reason why we would be talking about showers, and relatively comfortable as well, with temperatures topping off in the mid-70s. As we get into the early evening hours, we'll be looking at those temperatures more in the upper 60s to around 70 degrees for the early part of the evening. Switching gears again, taking a look at the tropics. We are not done with hurricane season, but thankfully right now, which has been a busy kind of back half of the season, things look quiet in the tropics. So this is the latest satellite, and we're really not looking at too much activity for now. But again, we're not done yet with the season. Now, our names, we've had a few more checked off over the past several days, Nadine and Oscar. So now our next named storm would be Patty, and beyond that would be Raphael and Sarah, Tony, Valerie, and William. As I mentioned, we're not completely done with the season here, but it does traditionally begin to drop off pretty quickly. So that peak of hurricane season is around September 10th, and things really didn't start get going until the mid to late part of September on the backside of the hurricane season traditionally here. But even through October, it can be quite active, and that looks to continue to drop off as we get more into November. So as we get more into, I'd say the next 10 to 12 days, we should start to see things quiet down considerably, but does not mean that we couldn't see something. Again, hurricane season goes all the way to the end of November. As we look ahead to your 7-day forecast here, again, other than a small shower chance for Friday, we continue to look dry. Record highs expected for Friday, and then cooler weather moving in behind the front for the weekend.
Just ahead, Honda's being recalled. The problem, the cars involved in the free fix Honda is offering. Also ahead, jumping into action, the bus passenger being called a hero tonight. There is a recall alert tonight involving thousands of Honda vehicles. The automaker is recalling nearly 8,000 hybrids and Honda CR-Vs made between 2023 and 2025. Honda says there is a potential fuel pump issue. The company wants drivers to go to a Honda dealer as soon as they can for an inspection and a free replacement part. In consumer news, Walmart says it will expand prescription deliveries into one streamlined single orders. They will essentially be brought to your house along with your other purchases in as little as 30 minutes. By the end of January, Walmart expects to have this service available in nearly all 50 states. Customers will be able to schedule pharmacy deliveries for a time that fits their schedule. Walmart says it will be free for Walmart Plus customers and at $9.95 for non-members. Just ahead, jumping into the driver's seat in motion. How quick thinking by a bus passenger saved lives. Caught on camera, a passenger on a city bus out in Colorado takes over after the bus driver has a seizure. Take a look. It happened in Colorado Springs. Passenger noticed something was wrong, went to the front of the bus. That's him walking up now to ask the driver if he's okay. Well, the driver starts to seize, falls out of his seat while the bus is moving. A second passenger ran to the front of the bus, took the wheel and stopped it on the side of the road. He was also able to radio dispatch and let them know what was going on. Whew. Earlier in the newscast, we told you about our X poll on Fox 17's page, asking whether you agree with the Titans' decision to trade DeAndre Hopkins for a 4th-round draft pick. You see the numbers, 259 people weighing in. Numbers holding steady, 55% say yes, we agree with that. If you would like to weigh in, you still can. The QR code's on the right-hand side of your screen, and we will update these numbers for you coming up in about 10 minutes or so on Fox 17 News at 10.
The issue of transgender rights making its way to the presidential campaign. I'm Christine Frizzell with a look at why an issue voters rarely list as a top concern has become so prominent.